Star Wars TIE Fighter tutorial. Learn how to build this amazing thing. Sorry I don't have the actual music. Disney would copy strike me into a galaxy far away. Da 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 da.
Awesome! Fun!
What is it? Hold on. What the hell is wrong with it?
Much better. What is up, dudes, dudettes, and dudes who defy description? My name is Oz, and despite the outfit, I have not turned to the dark side. I'm still a rebel at heart, but wanted to get into the Imperial mindset for today's tutorial, the TIE Fighter. This design is 17 high, 17 wide, and 15 deep. All the materials are listed in the description below. Let's get started. As this build is up in the air, it's probably a good idea to build a platform underneath. Now this platform I've got is 17 wide across here and 15 deep. So depending on where you build it, you might want to do the same. Now what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to do one wing of the TIE Fighter on this side. Then, of course, the one over here is exactly the same. And then we'll come back and we'll do the center bit after that. So what we're going to do here is, if you're using a platform like I am, come one in from the edge and go 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the fifth block, you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 with the polished andesite block. And then you should have 4 again left over on this side. Then we'll put this as a temporary block on the edge and just break that off. Do the exact same thing on the opposite side, like so. And this makes it easier for this next part because we're going to be placing some walls. We get polished Blackstone brick wall. We're going to place that all along in between, and we're going to do another layer the same. So polished andesite. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 with our wall, and another one here. Now we'll grab a temporary block, this time dirt, place it behind us here, place a polished andesite on top, get rid of that, get your polished Blackstone brick wall. We want one piece, then a polished andesite, and we're going to come over to this side, and we're going to do the same thing, temporary block, andesite, bye-bye temp block, one wall, one brick, and then wall for the rest of it. And we'll do something similar here. Place a dirt on the outside, andesite, bye-bye temp block, and this time 3 walls, so 1, 2, and 3. Then a polished andesite here, and then we want to do the same thing on the outside, so we're going to come over here, going to slap down a temporary block, up with the Andy, on top, uno, dos, tres, and then we're going to place one Andy there, and of course brick wall in between for 3. Then we'll bring this exact design up by 1, so we're going to place andesite on top of that, 1, 2, 3 walls, andesite, another 3 walls, 1, 2, 3, andesite, 1, 2, 3 wall, and andesite on the end. Oh! Now we're going to come up by 1 with the andesite block on the end there. Luckily I had to build a tower, climb back up. Then we're going to place down brick wall, and we're going to place brick wall all the way along until this block, the polished andesite block. Then you can slap down one polished andesite, one wall in between, another polished andesite. Then you're repeating the same thing here, so that's Blackstone wall, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we want a little polished, if we can, andesite on the outside. Then we'll come up by 1 andesite block here, Blackstone brick wall, all the way down till this andesite block. Then in between here, we're going to place a chiseled stone brick. Then at the front of that, or on the outside facing bit of that, you want to put a button in front of there, and then on the back of it, we want an upside down polished andesite stairs. Should just be to looking at the top. Yep, it's upside down. Then we'll just do the same thing as here, along here, where we place the wall all the way along till we get to the last block, where we then place one on top. Now we'll go with polished andesite blocks, one on top of that one, and all the way along until one before the chiseled block. So once you reach here, we're going to place a chiseled block here, one on the opposite side, and then in this middle bit, our super expensive lodestone. Oh, I like the noise it makes when you put it down. Then we're going to place buttons in front of the chiseled blocks, like so. Then switch back to your polished andesite, and you can just slap them all along till you reach the end. Before we go up to the next level, come along to the lodestone, get your stone brick wall. You're going to place one piece on that stair there, one piece on this side, another one here, another one here, and then 2 polished andesite behind that. Because this is the halfway point where it connects to the eyeball of the TIE Fighter, so we want to get that in position now. Makes it easier. Now we'll turn back to the very edge here. We're going to place 1 of the polished andesite, then we're going to place our brick wall all the way along here. Top of this block, when you get to the lodestone, you're going to place a chiseled brick there. We're then going to place ourselves a polished andesite stair just on top of this wall. Hopefully we can get this before bed. Another brick wall all the way along, so you're just repeating what was there with 1 polished andesite at the end. And of course, because this is a chiseled, we'll grab a button, pop it in front. Time for a sleep. Now at this stage, the thing could just be flipped. You could just take what you've got here and flip it on top. You see, you just need to go up 1 layer from there. You might be confident doing that, but let's do the rest of this bit together because there is a little bit of texturing difference on the wings. But it's up to you. If you just want this, go ahead, put that on top, skip ahead. If not, let's go back up and finish this off. So we'll come back to one of the outside edges here, place a polished andesite block on top, then we're going to place brick wall of the Blackstone variety all the way along till we're 1 before the lodestone, where we place a polished andesite on either side of the lodestone, or not the lodestone, the chiseled block. Then we're going to place a wall in between, and then we just repeat the same thing going out. So that's just brick wall all the way out, and 1 andesite on top of the one at the end. Now we're going to get narrowing things down, so come 1 in from the andesite, pop down another andesite, then we're going to place brick wall along here and stop here. 1 before this, we're going to place down an andesite. We're also going to place an andesite 1 past the other one. You can fill in this gap with 3 Blackstone brick wall. Then we just do the same thing on the end. That was all the way of wall until 1 before the end. That's an andesite. Next layer is easy. It's exactly the same. So you put an andesite block on top of that one. A 1, 2, 3 with the walls. Andesite block there. A 1, a 2, a 3 with the walls. An andesite block there. A 1, a 2, a 3 with the walls. And an andesite block there. Okay, for the texturing, the alternate block is the polished Blackstone wall. So we've got the brick wall is the normal one, and then the polished Blackstone wall is what we use afterwards. So I've actually missed a couple of bits. So if you come to this edge here, look down, break 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to place 2 wall. Hopefully we can. 1, 2 wall, and then we place a brick on the top. Then break this one at the edge out and make that one just the polished Blackstone wall. Here, next layer, we're going to come in Y1, place a polished andesite block there. You can also place 1 there as well, and we're going to place a brick wall in between. We'll then go for the polished wall and place 1, 2 of that. Then we can place our brick wall, and if we look to see, we need to place andesite on the outside of there. That's another 2 brick wall, and then we place a brick wall in between, and 1 andesite, just 1 in from the end. Our next layer, we're going to place 1 polished andesite, 1 in from the edge, so basically between these 2. Then we're going to go polished Blackstone brick for 3, 1, 2, and 3. Polished Blackstone wall for 2. Then, of course, we're going to place another andesite there in between the 2, and 2 more brick walls on the outside, so it matches. There's only 2 layers to go, so you're doing great. Good job, you. We're now going to get polished andesite, place it on top of that one, place 1 brick wall, 2 polished Blackstone wall, and then it's brick wall all the way till the end, where of course we then put an andesite on top of that one. The last layer is super easy. You just place andesite on top of all the existing walls, so you're basically coming one in from the andesite and placing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, just like we did at the start. If we take a look from the eye in the sky, we can see that we have a fantastic looking wing here. Now all you're going to do is repeat this thing on the other side. This gap here in between this wing and the other wing is 13 blocks. So you basically put 13 blocks from that central block, the fourth one. So 3 on either side. The fourth one is the center. You place 13 blocks there, and then on the 14th block, if you like, you then start this again. So this gap in between here is 13, and you're doing exactly the same thing. I'm going to do just that, and I'll see you in a sec. There's our duplicate second wing. Now I have slightly varied the shading on here. I guess in my mind, the light is mainly coming from this direction. So again, it's completely optional. You might want to use it, you might not. There's a lot more of it on this side there was on the other. But if you want to, we'll zoom in here and let you see what we've got. So you've got on this top section here, like a 2x3 with a little bit sticking down. You've got a couple little bits on the edge here. Yeah, you can just pause this right here and go and swap them out on your one. So you're just swapping out the wall for just the regular wall, the brick wall for the regular wall. There's a little bit there, a little bit there as well. But again, it's totally optional. I think it does do something in terms of shading as well. But I quite like it. So now we can move on to the body. Alrighty, it's time to add the eyeball, and I must say I love this view of the X-Wings coming towards you at this height. It's really cool. But anyway, time to get on with the eye. So you're going to want to get yourself in the middle of the wing, so that's the fourth block from either side. You're going to come over by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the 7th, we need some temporary blocks. Scaffolding works well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to climb up, and then on the 6th one up, we're going to slap down a stone brick block, just like that. And then we're going to place stairs upside down on all 4 directions, like so. Then we're going to get black concrete, place 1 piece on this side, 1 piece on the other side. Get your polished andesite stairs, and we're going to place a piece upside down on this outer edge of this block, and the exact same thing here. Then behind these blocks, we're going to place polished andesite, full block there, a temporary one here with a polished andesite stair upside down, and then break this one. Now we need our observers, and we're going to place them facing into these blocks here, okay? So the red bit is on the outside. We then want our lightning rods. We're going to place them just like that, so the thickest bit is outside the edge. This is kind of looks like the guns. We then need a temporary block here, a polished andesite stair, and we're going to place that upside down in between the copper rods, and then we break this one out. Time for a sleep. Now we'll get ourselves a temporary block. Going to use dirt this time. Place it on this front stair on top of both of the observers. Then we get ourselves our polished andesite block. You're going to place one on the outside of this observer, one over here on the outside. On these 2 points here, we're going to use tinted glass, starting to form the sort of eye bit. We place 2 there, and then on this very front edge, we need some polished Deepslate stairs upside down, like so. And yeah, I mean, there was only 3 or 4 blocks we used for this wing, but there's like a bazillion in here, so we just have to keep switching out the blocks. Then we're going to grab our black concrete. We're going to place black concrete on top of this block, on top of here, on top of here, and on top of here, and on top of the back. Now I will come later on to explain what you can do with the interior, but in terms of like aesthetics, it looks good if there's almost like nothing in here. And the reason that this black concrete is here is so that when you see through the window, it looks black. And you'll see as we come on why that makes sense. Then we're going to grab our polished andesite block, place it behind each of this bit of concrete behind here, behind here, behind here, behind here, and then we want our polished deep slate stairs upside down on this back edge like so. Now I'm going to jump off for a moment because what we need to do is where you see this black concrete, we need an upside down polished andesite stair. And I'm not sure, I didn't think I'd be able to reach, so we'll need to build up a little bit. Just place an upside down one on that side facing towards the wing, and then you just can head on over and do the same thing over here. Just whap that on. And that's just finished on the underside, so we can head back on top. Back on top, we're standing at the back section here. We're going to place one piece of coal on top of this black concrete. We're then going to place black concrete on top of these four that are already there, and a polished andesite block on top of these four blocks, again, that are already there. Now we'll go back to polished andesite, place one on top of this existing block, another one here. On top of the tinted glass, we're going to place ourselves some polished deep slate. So one on top of each bit, and then we're also going to stick it one out at the front so it lines up with this stair. We then get our tinted glass, we're going to whap a piece right there in between the two. Next, we're going to grab ourselves our deep slate tile wall. We'll place one piece next to this block and andesite on this edge here. Another piece right there. We're then going to switch to an andesite wall, and we're going to put an andesite wall here. In the same place on the other side over here, and then we need our full polished deep slate block, and you're just going to place one here and one here, sort of in line matching with them. Again, it should stick out alongside the stair. Okay, back on top at the rear section here, we're going to go black concrete, and we're going to place one on top of the existing four here and on top of this coal block. Switch back to the polished andesite. You're going to place one piece here, another piece here, another piece here, another piece here, and another there. So basically behind all of those things, and we also need one in front of here. Now we're going to go to our polished andesite stairs, and we need to place one here on top. That's just parallel to the one on the bottom, and the same around here. Then we need to grab tinted glass, place one piece on top of each of those. So you'll see you've got a kind of 5. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the sort of eyeball part of it that you're seeing. And we also need to get ourselves a stair in between here. So let's do this as a temporary block, a polished deep slate stair, this time the normal way round. So again, you see it kind of matches with what's below. And then we're going to get rid of this block because it was just a temporary. Now let's grab ourselves some dirt. We're going to put a temporary block here between this corner of the tinted glass and the andesite, another one here, and one on top of it like so. We then switch to polished andesite, and we need to place a block of polished andesite here. We need to place a black concrete there, polished andesite here, a blank concrete here, polished andesite on top of this black concrete, another black concrete there, and a polished andesite full block here. Now we grab our polished andesite stairs. We're going to come here and place it normal way up in front of this one. We're going to also place it on top of this black concrete, on top of this black concrete, and on top of here. So again, it's pointing out in all of our cardinal directions. And then you can, of course, get rid of the temporary blocks. We're almost done here now, so next up we grab our regular andesite stairs. We're going to place one in a similar direction to this, pointing out the same way, andesite stair on top of all three of these guys. Then we'll get a full andesite block, which we're going to place in the middle, and then that'll give you the opportunity to place an andesite stair on the front like this. Now just quickly, one little bit that I missed right here where you'll have this exposed concrete. You want to get yourself your polished deep slate stairs. Place one in the normal direction just on the back there. From the eye in the sky, you can see our TIE Fighter is looking pretty complete, and I think it looks awesome. I think this angle is actually the best one. We'll swing around, let you take a look at the back section here. Yeah, it looks fantastic. It looks just like a TIE fighter, doesn't it? And you can see what I mean, right? This is why I place black concrete all around the inside, because it looks better when that's black. That's all you see through the glass. Now, you could stop here. That is, you made a TIE fighter, an Imperial TIE Fighter. You could replicate this, build it as many times as you like, and you could be happy with that. But there's still a little bit more we could do. So let's have a little look at what we could do with the interior. Right, let's talk about the interior. Now, as you'll see, if we break this block and drop on in, we're not looking at a lot of space to play with. Now, I don't know why you might want to sit inside it and pretend that you're flying a TIE fighter, which could be fun if you want to do that. So there is options for you. So if we take a look at my inventory, you'll see I've got a lever, end rods, polished Blackstone buttons, compasses, recovery compass, the new music disc, and the minecart and rail. Ignore everything else for except these item frames for now. Now this recovery compass is a new thing. You make it by putting a bunch of shards. In fact, why don't I just show you? You go down to your work table and you put shards all around a compass, and that lets you make a recovery compass. And I think this thing is designed to point you towards your most recent death. But does this not look fantastic? And then let's slap it in an item frame like this, and we've got the data pack to say trigger if invisible. And how cool is that for a dial in a spaceship? Doesn't that look fantastic? So if we return to our interior, what you could do is stuff like slap the item frames there, and you could put yourself a recovery compass on either side to look like a dial. Again, we'll trigger if invisible, and we'll get rid of the item frames. This is a great data pack from Vanilla Tweaks. It's in the description. Highly recommend it. Then you could slap down, say, an item frame here, and you could put the music disc inside of it because it looks pretty cool as well. And that could form a bit of a sort of steering wheel for you. But you might prefer to slap in a lever in this section instead and use that as your sort of flight stick. Now, what's cool about these things is you can't see any of this from the outside, so it doesn't affect the inside. Now, you might think, well, I want to sit in this thing myself, so you're going to need to get a minecart and rail, but this place, obviously, there's a couple of spawnable blocks in here, so if you plan to enter and exit it, you'll want to slap an end rod at the back there, just to make sure that it's lit up. You could do something else as well, any kind of lighting thing, because it's pretty well hidden. And then you can slap in your minecart. I like to push it back just to completely hide that. Break the rail as well. And now you can sit. And if we switch to alternate cam, you can see me sitting there piloting the TIE Fighter. Now you can, of course, as well, also add in things like buttons. You might want to put like a button on here, button on here. You can slap them around anywhere you want. But again, these can be seen from the outside. So it's up to you. If it's just a display thing, you don't need an interior as well. But this is an example of what you could do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use our armor stand magic. So again, this is from Vanilla Tweaks. We can use this book to manipulate an armor stand. And I've got my head. I can show you here. So you saw this at the beginning of the episode. That is the helmet. We've got that head, and then we've got some black armor, and we can put that in an armor stand, and then we can have someone sitting in the TIE Fighter. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what I mean. Alright, you might need to look really close. Can you see it? Look at that middle glass block. Can you see the evil TIE Fighter pilot's face inside? It's difficult to see, but it's a little detail, and to be honest, at this height, you won't see it that often. If we zoom inside, you can see what we have. It does disappear a little bit with the free cam. We've got our TIE Fighter pilot and a lever here, and I've just slapped down a piece of glow lichen underneath the very top there so you can't see it. And again, you can't really see the pilot. You get kind of good angles here where it looks like he's in motion there, moving around too. But again, these are optional. You might want one you can get into yourself. You might want to have a pilot in it like this. You might want to have nothing in it. It's really up to you. But I think our TIE Fighter looks awesome. We need to get rid of this temporary base underneath. And of course, it's being chased by a squadron of X-Wings. And I think what we should do is, this TIE Fighter looks a bit lonely. Maybe we should add another one, and maybe we should add some action. What do I mean by that? Well, let's hit fast forward and find out. Our TIE Fighter now has a friend, but that friend is having a bad day. They're getting blown up by this X-Wing. And I think it looks fantastic from this angle. And also, if we go to the eye in the sky, I think it looks pretty cool from this angle as well, where we can see both TIE Fighters fleeing to get away from our little squadron of X-Wings. And the story that I've tried to tell here is that this X-Wing has opened fire. This shots here have missed. It's managed to evade here, but these shots, which were fired a little bit later, have managed to hit the target. And the explosion is one of these visual things that when you look close up to it, it's a mixture of wool, glass, and a bit of frog lights as well, yellow variety. Although actually, maybe shroom lights would have worked also, but I thought their texture was a bit heavy. From close up, it kind of looks okay, but a little bit of a mess. But see, when you get some distance from it, and you can't quite see the gaps in the glass, it does look explosive. And I've tried to make it look as if the shots have fired in and they've blown the front section out, which is why the front stuff's kind of blown out. And the back section, there's not so much kind of sticking out the back, it's more going through the front. So the stuff at the back is kind of going upwards as well. But this is really, really cool. I am super happy with our X-Wings and TIE Fighters, the little Star Wars story that we're telling in the skies above the village. I really hope you've enjoyed making this TIE Fighter with me, and I'd love to hear if you've built one in your world. And of course, if there's anything else from Star Wars that you'd like me to try and build, then for sure, let me know. Just maybe not the Death Star, you know, go easy on me, folks. But thanks very much for spending this time with me. I've loved spending it with you, and I'll see you next time for more awesome fun in Minecraft. Bye-bye!